swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common.
What up, everybody? We got Mikey B. I didn't get to watch the game, so I'm going to get to hear a lot from him. He watched the game. I was out celebrating a buddy's birthday, so unfortunately I didn't get to go, let alone see it. But I want to say, after looking, I started talking to him right away. Huge Mavs win, though. It's 103-100, beating it was at the time a 6-2 Utah Jazz, who somehow was playing well. And from what I can see real quick before I give it to Mike, the first quarter looked like it was very lopsided. It looked like it was Utah running away with it. Second quarter, very strong by the Mavs. Then third and fourth quarters, the second half, I should say, a very well balanced between the two, going back and forth.
Yeah, so Derek, watching the game, first of all, Utah came out with a lot of energy. Dallas doesn't need to make a lineup change yet with their starting lineup, but it's something Jason Kidd has to watch over this month of November. And I know he promised JaVale McGee the starting spot, and he should be the starter next game and the next game after that. But it's something you just have to watch as a coach and go, is this our best starting five? Because you don't want to get down by 8 to 10 points the first 6 minutes of every game, then have to work your way back into a competitive situation. The third quarter looks really competitive, but it was 50-47 at halftime, and it was 64-49 Utah to start the third quarter. They boat raced the Dallas Mavericks to start the third quarter, and I think most Mavs fans at that point go, oh no, this Utah team is just playing really hard, and the Mavs are not answering their energy, their shot making. It just looked like this game's going to get away from us. And from that point, timeout, Mavs put in Dwight Powell for JaVale McGee, and really that changed a little bit of the energy. And then with 4 minutes and change left, Maxi Kleba and Christian Wood came in and kept the energy up and kept it going, along with obviously Luka having a very good third quarter. So that third quarter was very important after getting off to a horrible start. Dwight Powell did a great job coming off the bench and giving them energy. And then Christian Wood and Kleba came in later in the quarter and kept the energy and the execution on offense and defense up.
Well, that's 20 rebounds just between those three guys. I mean, Christian Wood had 10. 8 of them are defensive rebounds, which is big. I mean, you kind of want to see still some offensive rebounds. He only had 2, but he still had 5 rebounds from Kleber and also 5 from Dwight Powell as well. And he had 9 points too from Powell, which we're both guilty of it, going after Dwight Powell, saying he's got to start playing better or whatever. I'm wondering too, I start to think about this, and I hope it does go this way, having not only Christian Wood there and getting his spot in front of him, but also having McGee there too. I wonder if that's kind of motivated him more to be that much better and try to get himself back into that rotation.
I like what you're saying, Derek. I don't know if you heard this or not, but Jason Kidd talked about how Dwight Powell was pissed off after the first 4 games that he wasn't playing. And Jason Kidd said, I'm glad he was pissed off. Obviously, it was, his decision not to have him in the rotation to start the year and see how JaVale McGee would do. And it just looked like there wasn't going to be minutes for him. And then in the 5th game, he put in Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell came out with energy, attitude, enthusiasm. Obviously, him and Luka do have chemistry in the regular season. And once again, we're seeing now these last 3 games, Dwight Powell having an impact in these games. I think people are like, Mike, you hate Dwight Powell. Well, look, I'm not a big fan of his, but I understand what he brings to the table. And energy off the bench is a great asset to have. There could be some games, if JaVale McGee's having a good game and Kleba's having a good game and Christian Wood's having a good game, maybe he doesn't play in that game. And he is a guy that's going to have the right attitude. When he gets those minutes, he's going to give you everything he's got. So I think people get confused at times, and I understand maybe I come off too harsh. I totally get where I do that. It's like, hey, Dwight Powell right now, if Dwight Powell wasn't on your team, you don't win this game tonight. So I want people to understand that are listening, that are Mavs fans, Dwight Powell, if he's not on the Mavericks, you don't win this game tonight. Doesn't mean he was the best player on the team, but it means he filled the role that JaVale McGee is not filling right now perfectly.
Yeah, I do. We're, like I said, or actually like you just said too, we are very hard on him, but it's because we expect more out of him. He plays hard, he works hard, he does everything he's supposed to do. It's just he doesn't get those results. And now, hopefully, having this motivation with McGee and Wood in front of him, that's giving him that extra drive to help him to be in this game more often. And I do see somebody wrote in here too, McGee is so overrated. I feel like a piece or part of me says that we got McGee just to kind of mentor and help out with our big men since we don't really have anybody. Andy has that playoff experience to help too with those younger guys as well.
Look, he hasn't had a good start to the year. But give him time. Reggie Bullock was horrible up to Christmas last year. I mean, pathetic. I think everybody forgets that because you see Reggie Bullock in the second half of the season. You see him in the playoffs, and you go, Mike, you're crazy. Reggie Bullock was really good for us last year. Up to Christmas time, he was worthless. And I was like, God, what a horrible signing. And he ended up finally finding his niche on the team. Yes, he had to make those shots, and he did make those shots. So I'm not giving up on JaVale McGee after 8 games into the season. He's struggling to figure out how he fits in on this team. He doesn't look like he's comfortable on this team. He's not very aggressive on this team. He had a few moments in the game tonight that it looked like he finally found that chemistry on pick and rolling, diving to the basket with Luka, but still there's moments where his energy and his maybe defensive awareness or knowing exactly how he's supposed to play defense on the Dallas Mavericks is kind of confusing him. I know he's a veteran. I know he's had Jason Kidd as a coach before on the LA Lakers, but I'd say give it time. If we get to mid-January and he's looking like this, then maybe he's done. Maybe age has caught up to him. Maybe he's just a horrible fit with Luka Doncic and Jason Kidd. But give it time. I'll say this, and I know he wasn't going to play in these minutes anyways. There was a moment late in the game, Derek, where the Mavericks gave up 3 offensive rebounds on 1 possession and got lucky. In the end, Dorian Finney-Smith blocked the last attempt, and the Mavericks got it. Dwight Powell was the center on the team. We saw this in the playoffs. I'm very happy with what Dwight Powell is providing. But if you go into the playoffs and JaVale McGee is not a contributor and he's a bench warmer and you have to go back to Powell playing 20 minutes and Kleba playing 25 minutes, then you're going to get hammered on the boards. And that's what killed the Mavericks in a lot of playoff games last year. So, hey, great win tonight. I don't want to get too off topic, but you're going to have McGee contribute and Wood contribute late in games, because if you have Powell out there, you're going to get hammered on the rebounds.
Well, you also – McGee's only doing 8 minutes. I feel like we haven't seen a double-digit minutes for McGee. That's one thing that kind of bothers me. We went ahead and picked up a guy like this. I get it. He's older, but at the same time, we could have gotten somebody else in this way. I mean, hell – Christian Wood has to start starting. I get it. We had the topic talking about this on the Fan today, but and Kid not liking him or whatnot. But I don't think it's that he doesn't like him. I think it's like we talked about. It's just the hard nose pushing him and trying to get him going. I just don't know if we're really getting much out of a guy who's only playing 8 minutes, where you got other guys are getting double digits for sure, and they're almost 20 minutes, and you got one guy doing 8. That's not helping our center situation. I think if you're going to do it, go ahead and give Powell those minutes. Let Powell be the guy that comes off the bench with McGee and have Wood start. I mean, Wood had 21 points tonight, 10 rebounds. He was 10 for 15 on the free throws. Or no, never mind. That was field goals. Never mind. I said the wrong thing. But he's been showing himself that he belongs in there. Just, I know it's early. I know we've only played 7 games, but still, like, we gotta do something here with this, because we've got guys that should be out there. I also want to point out too, I'm not going to lose faith in, obviously, my guy, Dorian Finney-Smith, starting off slow. I know your favorite player, Tim Hardaway, had a very rough night tonight. Only had 3 points. He was 1 for 9 for field goals and 1 for 6 on 3-pointers, which it's funny
because
tough.
I was watching with my 14-year-old, and his first 5 touches of the game, Derek, he shot it 4 out of 5 times.
I'm surprised you didn't text me to tell me, there's another shot.
But if you're really watching the Mavs close, and there's going to be a game very soon that Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to go 9 of 12 from the field for 25 points. That's just who he is. And he's going to have games like this where he's kind of useless, and he's not a very good defensive player. It was really weird, Eric. It was a little bit concerning as the Mavs they were down by 14 early in the game. They pushed back, and Luka has 3 fouls in the second quarter, but Jason Kidd knows, I can't let this game get out of hand. He's got to play with 3 fouls and just be careful. And with 20 seconds to go till halftime, the Mavs had fought and clawed and got the game to 47. And there was a dead ball. And so he took Luka out because Utah had the ball. And I was like, take Luka out. And I thought, put in Josh Green. Josh Green is a solid defender. Yes, he's young and makes mistakes, but he's a willing defender. He can keep guys in front of him. And he put in Tim Hardaway Jr., and Tim Hardaway Jr. immediately loses the ball, doesn't know where it's at. They throw the ball to his guy underneath the basket, right by his face, because he has no clue where the ball is. The guy lays it up, and then he just pushes him in the end for a 3-point play to go to halftime down by 3. And it's just interesting that he put in Tim Hardaway Jr., Jason Kidd, in a defensive situation when he can't play defense. So,
but could that be a confidence builder though? For the defense, like maybe, he knows that people don't think he's good at defense, but here's Kidd telling him, like, hey, I believe in you. I want to put you in this opportunity.
I guess so, except he failed miserably.
I know. I was waiting for you to tell me that too. But that's just something that I was just thinking of. I mean,
no. I just was surprised it wasn't Josh Green. By the way, Josh Green, very productive game tonight. He is improving as a young player, so he looks like a guy that you can kind of count on for, I'm hoping it's early, but 12 to 15 minutes off the bench and see if it expands as the season goes.
Any jump passes from him?
No. In fact, there was one time, teaching my 14-year-old basketball that Mike Conley did it, right? Veteran player, been in the league for 15 years or whatever. And he was like, see what happens when you jump in the air running and try to pass. Like, it works, but a lot of times it leads to turnovers because if it's not a perfect pass, before you left your feet, you played basketball, Derek. Before you leave your feet, you know where you're going with the ball. If all of a sudden in that 1 second that lane closes or that guy moves where you thought he was going to be and he moves into another area, you're screwed because there's nothing you can do except make that pass that you planned to make before you left your feet.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Don't do that. Don't ever jump pass.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Luka, once again, he got his 33 points. That's his 7th game in a row, surpassing Michael Jordan. They did show a list, Derek. There was a dude who I don't even know who he was. My son asked me, and I'm like, that was 17 years before I was even born, so I don't know that person. The other guy was Wilt Chamberlain in that same season, had 8, which Luka will go for on Friday night. But then Wilt Chamberlain holds the record in another season where he had 30 points or more in the first 23 games of the season.
Well, Luka had something already, 200 points and 50 assists and 50 rebounds, I think, or something like that. Like, he's the first player ever to do that.
He had so many big moments in this game and late in the game. And the other one who had a really big moment, Derek, is Reggie Bullock. So I'm not crazy on how the Mavs play the last 2 minutes of basketball. Dinwiddie and Luka just see how much air is in the basketball until 5 seconds left on the shot clock. And if you don't know what I mean by that, they're just dribbling to see if the ball's going to turn flat or not. And then with 5 seconds to go, they're like, all right, we better do something. And I'm not crazy about those possessions, but on one of them, Luka got doubled, threw it to Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie then swung the ball to the corner with a minute to go. And Reggie Bullock, who's gotten off to a rough start this year, made a huge 3-point shot there. So big 3-point shot by Bullock.
Damn, I thought they just blew the no-hitter. Yeah, that's good. But see, he's a guy that I'm not too concerned with. I know we talked about him having a slow start too. I don't get too concerned with him and Dorian. Dorian, I just feel like he's the closest one to really catching fire. It's kind of like you said, he doesn't like move around. They just throw a no-hitter, combined no-hitter. That's cool.
That's awesome. I will say this, Derek, real quick. Dorian's going to find his shot. He made a smart move tonight. He got a pass in the corner for a 3-point shot, and the guy was closing out hard, and he saw that there was no help, and he immediately took the ball, took, I think, 2 dribbles, and then laid the ball up. And I'm like, that's a smart decision, man. When your shot's not going and a guy's closing on you hard and you know you don't see any help, man, take that pump fake or catch the ball, immediately attack the rim, and get your 2 points. So great job by him on that play. He's going to be fine. I obviously took my shots at Dorian Finney-Smith last year, and after he signed that contract, he was just tremendous the rest of the season, was a big contributor in the playoffs. It's just, I think for Jason Kidd, with Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock and Tim Hardaway Jr., he has so. And then, going back to JaVale McGee and Dwight Powell and Christian Wood, I think these first 20 games, Jason Kidd is going to have to work really hard in deciding what works, what doesn't work, what combinations is best, because does McGee and putting Wood out there with McGee, does that help McGee? Does that hurt McGee, right? We haven't really seen that. We know that he likes playing Wood and McGee together. Powell and McGee probably would never work together, but there's a lot that Jason Kidd has to try to figure out, and I'm going to trust him. He had a great year last year as the Mavs coach, but there's a lot of uncertainty on who are the best 5, who plays with who to make each other the best. And then, at the end of the game, I feel like the Mavs right now are not really playing good offensive basketball late in games. That's why they kind of gave 2 leads away. It should have been W's to start the year. And tonight they got away with it. But just dribbling the ball until there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock doesn't seem like a smart idea to me.
Do you still question their ball movement? I know that was one of the things you talked about is we don't move the ball very well.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I ask is because Dinwiddie had himself a game too. He had 20 points. I mean, he did pretty good, it looks like. So I'm just curious if that's still something you're thinking about is we don't move the ball very well. Because we are slow. We're not a very fast-paced team,
Right.
and we're not as aggressive. I think we try to take the Golden State approach of just shooting threes. We don't have as much drop and drive, I guess you could, or not drop and drive. That'd be baseball, but driving to the hoop.
So to your point, Derek, so late in the game, and we beat Utah, is Utah would push the ball. We never pushed the ball. After they push the ball initially and nothing happens, the ball starts moving a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And with the Mavs late in game, they just dribble the clock out, and everybody stands and waits for either Luka or Dinwiddie to then attack. And when you don't attack until there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock, if that initial attack doesn't do anything, the guy playing on-ball defense does a great job. Now what do you do with 4 seconds to go? It's too late to move the ball around. Now we had a possession with one or no passes and a contested jump shot. And I would rather with 2 minutes to go, I'm not saying you're just moving the ball around like the Golden State Warriors. We don't have that type of team. But I would like to see us attack sooner than, hey, now with 7 seconds left, let's start our initial offensive attack.
I agree. I feel like we have speed, though. The guys that are out there, I feel like we have speed. But you always point out, and ever since you've pointed it out to me, now I notice it. Dorian Finney-Smith cannot dribble. Reggie Bullock doesn't really dribble much. Dinwiddie is your only other option that's out there from the starters that could really dribble. JaVale McGee definitely can't do it, and we know Luka can. I mean, we could probably dribble better than McGee.
Yes, and the interesting thing about that is it's the Mavs constructed the team this way. I do think that Nico Harrison is going to try to get another ball handler. And watching the Utah Jazz, I know they're off to a 6-3 start, but that's a team rebuilding. Danny Ainge decided Mitchell and Gobert were not going to get them to the championship. I don't think Clarkson and Michael Conley Jr. and Lauri Markkanen are going to get them to the championship. So I think that Jordan Clarkson or Mike Conley Jr. could be a really nice addition to this team. And if they're on your team, especially Jordan Clarkson, because he's younger, would all of a sudden up the tempo of your team because he does want to push the ball. And he can push the ball and make good decisions with the basketball. Mike Conley is a veteran guy, more like for 20 minutes off the bench on this team or 24 minutes off the bench, where Jordan Clarkson would probably be a major weapon on your team to play 30 minutes, and you'd hope he gets you 15 to 20 points a night, where Mike Conley would be like a guy off the bench that would get you 10 points, 5 assists, and a guy that you really can rely on to make smart decisions in games.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their lineup. I forgot they don't have Gobert. Where'd he go?
He went to Minnesota for 5 first-round picks.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I mean, we need something because even now I looked at the bench too. Hardaway would be the only other guy that can really dribble.
And he's shooting.
Yeah, and I mean he's going to take it and shoot it. Green's
he can create his own shot, but he's not creating anything for anybody else.
Right. And Green, we know he's just going to run and jump and pass, so we don't have to worry about that.
He's getting better. He was more under control tonight. So
I'm going to start a tally for Friday's game. We got to set the over under how many jump passes.
I would always say with him it's 2.5 because it's tough because he might only play 5 minutes or he could play 15 or 20 minutes. It's just based off of how his energy is in the game. He's always going to have high energy. It's just sometimes you got to say, hey, calm the F down. You can't play at a 12. You got to dial it back to an 8. We love you at an 8.
Yeah.
When you get it to a 10, we get a little bit of this. When you go over a 10, you are a negative basketball player. But he's making his corner three-pointers, Derek. I know he made 1 tonight. He might have made 2. And that's just a huge thing because working for Bally Sports, they have the audio that you can't play because they have bench audio and stuff. And they're like the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns when Josh Green was in the game. Their team would yell at him to shoot it when he caught it in the corner wide open.
Really?
And so So when Utah was playing and Phoenix was playing, he didn't really play against Golden State, but they told me that they would have the audio. And especially Utah, because they were doing every game broadcasting, they're like, Utah would yell at Josh Green to shoot it when he caught the ball in the corner.
See, I like that. I like hearing that stuff. I will say I heard a lot more when Thank God for the Mavs. They know I'm trying to get courtside seats. I want to move from where my seats are.
So you underneath the bucket.
Yeah, they put me underneath the basket, and I think that's where I want to go. But it's impressive. I got to hear a lot more than I do. I still hear a good amount of stuff from my seats. You've been at my seats before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, you went with me to a game.
Golden State.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to go again. Don't worry. We got quite a few. It could be on Friday. But you hear so much more, and it's cool to hear the stuff that's being said when they're out there. And there is a lot of guys trying to miscommunicate, like trying to screw up what they're doing and what they're saying, which is funny. But
huge win tonight, Derek. I mean, I know it's early, but man, the West is so competitive, and Utah now all of a sudden, I don't know if they're going to keep this up, but man, do they play hard, Derek. I mean, they are playing their ass.
Yeah, you're muted. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You either muted something or...
Check. 1,
there we
2.
go. Got you back.
So I was saying Utah plays so freaking hard, and they're going to find themselves winning basketball games if they don't make trades. I'm not saying they're winning 50, but they're going to be a tough team to play because everybody who hits that court for the Utah Jazz is working their butts off. And so that's a team like this was a big win tonight because you don't know if Utah's going to fight and claw and all of a sudden win 44 games this year. I think the Mavs are going to win 50 plus games. But every win is important right now. I know that it doesn't matter how you're playing right now. When we get to game 83 through 100, hopefully in the playoffs, we're not going to go, remember how we played on November 2nd? We're not going to care. Just like we don't care how we really pitched in April when it comes August or September. But we're building towards something, and you don't want to put yourself in a hole where all of a sudden you're looking and you're the 7 seed trying to get out of that to be the 6 seed because you dicked around early in the season and didn't get those W's that you should have got.
Yeah, that's why. I try to, as an athlete, and when we both have played, you want to win every single game. I'm not saying that they don't want to, but it's just like some of these experiments we got to watch. We can't spend all year experimenting with this lineup and then this lineup and then this one. We got to find the one that works, get the momentum going with that, and then we can kind of tinker with it as we go. That's my whole thing. That's what I would want to do. I feel that's what you would want to. It's just we can't sit here and constantly keep experimenting because it's not helping the situation.
I hear you. I agree with you. I just don't know exactly what to do that I know will work out because putting Christian Wood in the starting lineup, I'm with you. I would like for that to happen. If you put Christian Wood in the starting lineup, do you also want to put Maxi Kleber with him in the starting lineup because they seem to be a good combination together? Now, if I do that, obviously it's easy to take McGee off the court and put him as one of my reserves. But then do I go with Reggie Bullock coming off the bench?
I think what you said, leave this lineup how it is. I would put Powell in and Wood. Let McGee come off the bench. He's only got 8 minutes. He has not played a single game of double digits. I get it. You gave somebody a promise, but you know just as much as anybody else, this is a business. We got you already. You can't sit here and try to do whatever. If you don't want to do that, you don't want to play, fine. We can get somebody that will. But right now, this is what we need to do because this is what's best for our team. So let's get Powell and Wood out there if that's what we're doing. If it, to me, like you said tonight, was a great example of how good that chemistry was with those two. And go from there. McGee's not making a factor right now. Like, I'm sorry. I cannot sit here and say he is. He's playing 8 minutes.
Yeah. It does. The only thing I can say it helps, Derek, is Maxi Kleber is a guy who gets hurt throughout the season, and every time we get to the playoffs, his body is beaten up. So even if McGee's only playing 10 minutes a night, they need to be a better 10 minutes. He can't play the way he's playing right now. If he can just give you 10 minutes, that takes about some minutes off of Maxi Kleber on a nightly basis because we need a healthy Maxi Kleber late in the season because when he's dinged up and we're not sure what we're going to get out of him, he's just so valuable for the 20 minutes he's on the court, and we need a healthy Maxi Kleber, come playoff time.
He's only played 3 games in double digits in minutes.
Well, I'll tell you, Jason Kidd made a great decision tonight. When it got to be 64-49 in the first 3 minutes or 4 minutes of the third quarter, he said, screw it. I'm not playing you anymore. Like, you're not contributing. You seem confused. And I got to put in Dwight Powell because he knows what we're trying to accomplish here.
That's the only thing that's what worries me is we invested in something that I just don't know if that's the right move. I mean, I liked it. I like the pickup. I do like McGee. I think he can be something for this ball club, but it's just, it's early. It's early.
And Derek, the last thing I'll say here about that is I loved Jalen Smith. Was horrible with the Phoenix Suns his first few years. And then he went to the Indiana Pacers last year. Very young guy, too, so a developing guy. And for some reason, the Mavs didn't want a developing guy. But I'm like, dude, Luke is young. We have him under contract for a while. You don't have to go get a whole bunch of 30-year-old guys. He was going to be cheap. And I thought you could get him. And I'm trying to pull up. Jalen Smith signed. This year he's making $4.6 million. Next year, $5 million. And the year after that is a player option at $5.4 million. So I was just kind of going during the offseason, I was like, let's go get Jalen Smith. He's really starting to find himself in the NBA in his third season since he left Phoenix. But unfortunately, the Mavs wanted to go with a veteran guy. I still think it'll be fine. We didn't sign JaVale McGee to a crazy-ass contract. It's 3 years at approximately $15 million. It's easy to move if you don't really like him that much. So I'm excited about Friday. This team needs to keep working together. It's early in the year, but definitely this team is lacking chemistry. But Luka and Dinwiddie and Christian Wood had a really good game too tonight. Really responded well in the second half. Great second half. Guys did enough to win this game. But the chemistry and the flow and everything that you want this team to have, they're definitely not hitting this season with a great stride.
Well, before we take off, then, I mean, I want to see your thoughts going into this. Toronto is 5-3. They have won 2 in a row, so they're playing fairly decent right now. Do you feel like this is going to be a tough matchup for us? Is this kind of a statement game, even though it's early with these guys? Does this kind of put us somewhere on the map?
I wouldn't say a statement game because it's an Eastern Conference opponent that most people don't see as a contender. They see as a playoff team. It is a good team you're playing, a team that's going to play over 500 this year, a team that Pascal Siakam is a really good player. Van Fleet's a good player. Scotty Barnes, their second-year player, had a great rookie season last year, so they have a lot of talent on that team. It's a good team. It's a team that can easily beat you, and you're going to have to play good, strong, focused, physical basketball to win the game. That being said, if it was more like if you were playing Milwaukee, Phoenix, right now Boston, I think that would be more of a statement game if you went out and showed them. I mean, Memphis we thought was going to be a big game, and you blew them out. So Memphis would be another team, too, I'd look at and go, that could be a statement win.
Yeah, well, that's what I was curious what we were going to do with that. I feel like we can win it, but we'll see. It all comes down to how we get out there and how we play. I mean, I just feel like we can't just rely on the threes. We got to drive. We got to drive, and we got to drive.
Well, it makes it easier if the ball moves a little bit. I know our guys struggle with dribbling and passing, but once the ball, if we attack earlier in the shot clock, and then when you pass it to the corner, if they close out quick and then you move the ball quick, well, somebody had to close out on you. And so who was that guy? The next guy's open. And the Mavs at times tonight moved the ball again where the ball would go around the horn and then find a wide open three on the other side of the court on the weak side. Or you'd have a guy close way too hard and then, you would go right by him. Jalen Brunson was amazing at letting a guy, close too hard and then drive by him really easy. Now it's 5-on-4 basketball, and then another guy had to commit to him. So now there should be 2 guys open in that situation. So I think they'll get it. The Mavericks are going to need another ball handler at some point this season that they're going to have to trade for if they really want to make a great run this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely got to go pick up some more pieces, I feel. But then again, we kind of said the same thing last year at the beginning of the year, and then look at what they did. They didn't have any big-time players. Dawson in here was saying we need another big time player if we want to win. We didn't really have anybody big time last year. At least that's how I feel about it. Brunson was not considered a big time player last year.
It's funny. My buddy who's a big New York Knicks fan is not upset with Brunson, but he's like, Brunson didn't fix all our issues. And I'm like, well, he's not that type of player. You didn't go get Luka Doncic or you didn't go get Ja Morant. You got a really nice starting point guard, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. I mean, I'm watching right now, Memphis right now play. They're up by 8 on ESPN. I wish, Damian Lillard's out, so they're getting to play kind of a hurt Portland team, but that's a really fun team to watch.
Well, that it is. All right, Mike. Well, I will see you on Friday. I'll be in studio with you as well Friday, so we got a big day and Mavs basketball. I'll let you know about the game too if you're available.
I am available,
well,
so I know that you can. If I don't answer you in 2 minutes, you give it to somebody else. So I'm answering you right now.
I'm inviting you right now. That is my call to you right now for that.
In like Flynn.
All right, there we go. So me and Mikey will be at the game on Friday. I hope we get to talk about it after, but we'll see. But for tonight, though, big win for the Mavs.
We'll sit on the court after the game's over and do a press conference.
That would be good. We can interview one of the players. Yeah. But other than that, I will see you guys later. Mike, thank you for jumping on here with me again, as always. So if you guys want to hear me and Mike after all the Mavs games, come and kick it with us. And once we get to some West Coast games, we will do hopefully another game together as well. But
we were way better than the Houston Astros tonight.
I mean, we were perfect. They were no.
Yeah, they walked too many guys.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going.
All right.
Bed.
See you, Mikey.
Love you.
Did he just say I love me? He got me there. But guys, that's it for Mike, myself, with the Mavs. I appreciate it. All you guys that are here. Again, like I said, we will do this. We try to do it every game. No promises, though. Sometimes we can't. We almost didn't get to tonight because my internet was not working, but we got it up and running, so we're good. But again, West Coast games, we're probably going to commentate the entire time they play. And these games here, we're going to get to check them out. The only holdup will always be me driving home from the game afterwards. That's the only long part. But until then, I will see you guys later. Don't forget, you can check out Off the Fair Pool tomorrow. We're going to do the podcast tomorrow. So check that out. And then probably get some gaming in as well. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.